Welcome to the April 24th, 2024 edition of 30 with Tony. Our subject today is bureaucratic backfires. But on this show, we ain't backfiring. We're trucking. So let's make it hurt mama, and let's get it on.
Well, hi, Kemasabis. It's Tony D'Angelo. It is April 25th, 2024, 3 p.m. Eastern, Ada Domini in the year of our Lord. So happy to have you here. So happy for everybody that has given me encouragement, that has circulated this show to others, that's watching on the live feed, that's watching when they can. I can't tell you how happy I am about that. Very grateful to our music contributors who have contributed music for us to use. I think we got some incredibly boss music today. I think out of all the podcasts, out of all the video shows, we have the bossest music and the coolest clips. You can't say that we don't. Now, watch everybody else start doing it. But listen, you were here first, and so was I. Very, very grateful to have you. And I'd like to talk to you today about something really, when I was going around earlier, that just made me so angry when I started to think about it, that why we have the messes that we do. And a little bit of background about me. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I've probably over time had equal disgust with both parties. There were political figures in the past Couple in the present that I do like, but basically, many times I think government's out to lunch on a whole bunch of stuff. And that is why, in my function, either here or on the Lee Elsey show, I want to tell you the truth. And if the truth is something that gets you angry, I want you to take action. Now, again, don't go hitting anybody or vandalizing or anything like that, but to take action, because I can't do this all myself. And there are, there's a lot of you out there who are doing, but yet for those of you that don't do, that's going to be one more stupid thing that's going to happen. And when I do this, I'm not going to be sympathetic towards a Republican because he's a Republican, or a conservative because he says he's a conservative. Democrats don't show me much of anything lately, pretty much. I mean, we had good, solid Democrats in the past. John F. Kennedy, Senator Bill Bradley, people who were, that got it and did the right thing and worked, advanced their interests, but found a way with other people to make things work for the benefit of the United States. I don't know if we're going to see that anymore, frankly. It's turned into such a violent, stupid clown show. But anyway, I hope we do. But today I'm going to show you something as to why you need to pay attention, why you need to get involved. And if you don't get involved, you're going to see the messes that you do. Now, again, today we're going no holds barred. Today, there are no sacred cows or turnips or pumpkins. There is no great pumpkin. There is going to be nothing but the truth as well as I bring it to you. This is why it's important to pay attention. Because if you don't pay attention, you're going to pay in taxes, and you're going to pay in job loss, and you're going to pay in public safety. So allow me to elucidate. I'm going to show you something. Our wonderful state Senate acting in a bipartisan manner, unanimously, to make life better for us all. Again, allow me to elucidate. And let's go to here. And let's go to here. Here's an article, April 19th, 2024. I believe he is a gentleman. Of course, I have to say that these days. He looks like a gentleman. Hudson Camphausen is the writer. And the headline is, Ethics Bill for Quasi-Publics Passed Unanimously Through Senate. In other words, your Senate is concerned about ethics and doing things right, unanimously. But we shall see what we shall see. And we read down the bill a little bit. Picture of Senator May Flexer. Contracts between quasi-public state agencies and certain individuals will need to be agreed on after a public process, says a new bill passed Wednesday by the Senate. Now, when you read that, you say, what is a quasi-public? And I have been asking myself that for years. Why do you need a quasi-public? Well, there were a couple of people running around in the Senate and a couple of idiotic Republicans that I heard years back, thank God now retired, ostensibly on the state nickel, who are saying, well, this is a better way to get things done. It doesn't involve the government. Things happen much faster. Yeah, I mean, no, terrific. No public disclosure. Do we get at the minutes? Do we get at these things regularly? I mean, and that doesn't even take into account, the scummy nonprofits where the legislature, like, Advance CT and the Yukon Foundation and 4CT, where the legislature made that off limits by law. They don't want to talk about that. D'Angelo does, but they don't. I mean, it's so typical because, I mean, it's what's the Yukon Foundation spending on the sports team? What's the Yukon Foundation doing in entertaining a legislator? I mean, we don't know that. We don't know if they are or they're not. But again, it's, non-disclosable. And we can't get at the minutes. We can't get at the nature and source of the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund. $95 million with BlackRock, a co-investor of Oak HCFT, tied to our governor, King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable. We can't get to that. We can't see what's happening. Oh, did I tell you it's also incorporated in the super secret tax haven Cayman Islands? This is Connecticut, people, okay? This is Connecticut. And you have a whole legislature and a whole media that pretends none of this happens. So go UConn, we won again. Yeah, great. But anyway, a lot more to life than sports. I mean, I love sports. I don't love it nearly as much as I did, but I mean, this is Connecticut government. So let's read on. A quasi-public agency is an agency that ostensibly performs a state function for the benefit of the government. Now, why we just can't have one government and one legislature with full disclosure on everything under the guise of the legislature? Wonder how your taxes are so high. You know, spend all this money on taxes for all this uselessness. You wonder why it is? Well, you know, we have this layer of quasi-publics in government. So essentially, you're paying two incompetents as opposed to one. Really good. Doesn't benefit you, right? Benefits the two incompetents. But be that as it is, we talk about a Senate bill. I'm sorry, I jumped around a little bit. Bear with me just a second. I'll come back here. I'm excited. That's the problem. Senate Bill 259 expands current statutes limiting contracts between state agencies and certain individuals to include quasi-public agencies, which the writer says here are independent government corporations created to perform a particular service or set of public functions. I can buy that. I don't know if they're essentially incorporated in and of themselves. But according to openquasict.gov, that's an interesting site. I'm not going to go there right now to show you what's there. It's actually kind of a subject in and of itself. It's kind of hopelessly out of date. It's 2 years behind. After all, who in Connecticut wants to be disclosed for anything? And it is hell on wheels to search. It is not user friendly. And I know why it's not user friendly. Most quasi-public agencies depend primarily on sources of revenue associated with the services they provide. Listen, Hudson, do I have your name right? Don't want to insult you. There's no reason to do that. Hudson, these agencies produce revenue. I mean, maybe the lottery commission does, but most of them just burn up money. But anyway, let's move on. Under SB, they are required, I shouldn't skip over this, they're required to submit annual reports to the legislature, including a summary of their activities and financial information. Hey, that's neat. How come we never see it? Who do we go to in the legislature to see the stuff that they're pulling? I mean, why is this a difficult process? Why is it removed from the citizen? Let's move further. Under SB 259, public officials and employees, as well as their family members and other friends, doesn't this sound great, would be prevented from engaging in contracts of $100 or more with quasi-public agencies unless those contracts are reached after an open and public process or from a court appointment. Let's read that again very closely. Under SB 259, public officials and employees, as well as their family members and close friends, would be prevented from engaging in contracts of $100 or more with quasi-public agencies unless those contracts are reached after an open and public process or from a court appointment. The bill would apply to agencies like the Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority and the Port Authority. Yeah, we know how clean the Port Authority's been. The latter of which was come under fire for any inappropriate spending by leadership and ethics violations by staff. Everybody's got their job, though, right? You know, no benefits have been cut. There's been no fines. There's been no criminal penalties. You know, there's been none of that. But you know, we need to get the ethics department involved. And of course, the ethics department is the same wonderful ethics department that wrote, quote unquote, an ethics plan for King Governor Ned Lamont the unaccountable, where, you know, he will not self-deal and he will not get involved in anything. And, you know, I spent weeks on the Lee Elsey show tearing this thing full of holes, because basically what he did, and you can go back and look at that, he effectively had his pet counsel draft a plan which took the current parts of the Oak HCFT conglomerate under Anne Lamont and say, well, they're precluded from others, from self-dealing and things like that. But what they did right after that was set up two large, almost billion-dollar Cayman Island limited partnerships, which were not covered at all by that agreement. Yeah, we really can trust the ethics department. Please, I mean, you talk about, you know, tax-paid enablers. And of course, no one in the legislature, I mean, they listen to me. They listen to the Lee Elsey show. They have gone through what I have pointed out. They don't do anything, basically, about it. So there's your ethics for you. Let's go through here just a little bit more. This was passed. This is a shutout, 34-0. And we have commentary here from Senator Rob Sampson. From what I understand, he is a conservative stalwart. Said he agreed with the bill, but he was curious as to why quasi-public agencies had not been included in statutes pertaining to oversight in the past. We've had quasi-public agencies in the state for decades now, and it just seems odd to me, the ranking member of GAE said. I don't know whether to laugh, cry, scream, or throw up, basically. I mean, you've been in the legislature that long, and you make the public statement why it's not included in statutes as far as oversight. Does that mean you didn't know they were there? You don't believe in oversight, Senator Sampson, or, you know, this completely baffled you to the nth degree? This is where I throw my hands up and say, I don't know what else I can do. And believe me, this gentleman, from what I understand, is one of the better ones. I mean, get in the game, man. You got to see what's happening. Now, you read down a little bit. Flexer says she did not know why the agencies had not been included. This is your taxpayer-paid legislature, people. I should really highlight that. You want to get really angry with me? Go right ahead. But the Office of State Ethics has been advocating for oversight of the agencies for more than a decade and a half. Again, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, scream, or throw up. This is unbelievable. Flexer mentioned that the Senate has passed similar bills. These bills have either failed to get through the House or been sent back by the governor. I wonder why. But the writer is very kind here to link to this bill. Now, an entire legislature got together and they said, Houston, we got a problem. Something terrible's happening here. Money's being out. We gotta stop this. We gotta right this ship, and we're gonna get the state ethics department involved. Okay, let's see what the handiwork is. Our senatorial brain trust in its entirety in the Connecticut State Senate passed this sucker 34-0. What did they pass? Well, let's go over to here, actually. And that's the bill page. Raise Senate Bill number 259, an act concerning contracting with quasi-public agencies under the state code of ethics. Now, I am going to shut that down. I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to actually look at the bill itself. This is Raise Bill 259. Let's read down the provisions a little bit. Again, we've got a huge problem. Again, we're bleeding money like anything. Again, corruption's running rampant. Again, the ethics department, which has been part of the problem for years, is going to be part of the solution. And we're going to straighten this thing out once and for all. And not only that, you got 34 senators backing it, including Flexer, including Sampson. Whenever that happens in Connecticut, let me tell you something. From long and bitter experience, get very nervous. Get very nervous. Because something is stinking in that woodland, or there's maggots in that woodwork. Okay, let's read a little bit. No public official or state employee or member of the employee's immediate family or business which he is associated with shall enter into any contract with a quasi-public agency valued at $100 or more, other than a contract of employment with the technical education and career system. Mr. Camphausen didn't mention that. for students enrolled in a school in the system to perform services in conjunction with vocational, technical, technological, or post-secondary education. I guess that all does with school. And any such student is receiving in the school and system subject to the review process under subsection 2. Does this mean that state employees can somehow get involved monetarily to their benefits with the technical and trade schools? I mean, that wasn't mentioned. Let's look at that a little bit more closely. For students enrolled in a school in the system to perform services in conjunction with the vocational, technical, technological, or post-secondary education and training, any such student is reading a school in the system subject to the review process. We'll get down to subsection 2. With a public education, a public institution, because we do have that other than provision there for technical schools. So with a public institution or higher education to support a collaboration with such institution to develop, read down a little bit further, and commercialize any invention or discovery or pursuant to a court appointment unless the contract has been awarded through an open and public process. Notice that's not defined, including prior public offer and subsequent public disclosure of all proposals considered in the contract awarded. Now, that of course is very unspecific. In no event shall an executive head of an agency as defined in section 4166, including a commissioner, an executive head, or a quasi-public agency, or the executive head's immediate family, or a business which he is associated with, enter any contract with that agency or quasi-public agency. And a lot of administrators there. Nothing in this subsection, read down a little bit further, shall be construed as applying to any public official who is appointed as a member of the executive branch. That's kind of curious, isn't it? Or as a member of a director of a quasi-public agency and who receives no compensation for the other than per diem payments or actual necessary expenses, or both incurred in the public's official duties, unless such public official has authority over control over the subject matter of the contract. Any contract made in violation, well, actually, I'm going to hold on to that. Let's just look at this part here that I have blued out. Nothing in this subsection 34-0 shall be construed, nothing, as applying to any public official who is appointed as a member of the executive branch. So the unaccountable can appoint somebody, and if he receives no compensation, and he can sort of be construed as not having control over the subject matter, he could continue to deal. I mean, that's a loophole you could drive a truck through, and somebody did that intentionally. But here is your terrible penalty. You do this and you look at that and you snicker and you say, well, I'm going to do it. Any contract made in violation, everything we've read, 34 senators saying how they're going to police the world and make it safe for mankind, shall be voidable by a court of competent jurisdiction if the suit is commenced not later than 180 days after the making of this contract. In other words, if I am a government official, if I am a senator or a legislature and I want to make a deal with somebody and I say, well, look, we're just going to do this. We're not going to tell anybody. And they got 180 days to figure us out. I'm taking that chance. Why wouldn't I? Because the worst they can do is void me. The worst they can do is call me a slime ball. Calling a Connecticut politician a slime ball in most cases is like calling a tree green. But, you know, that's not even that. I mean, it wouldn't even make the state-controlled newspapers and news media. I mean, I see nothing about fines. I see nothing about penalties. I see nothing about taking these so-called financial reports and making them available. They have basically given you, 34 senators have given you this thing, which is this whole, whatever you want to call it, bureaucratic mess that you are led to believe by the article by Mr. Camphausen over here that these guys are on the stick and they're over here wanting to make you it's not, this is what's called window dressing. The state knows it has a huge image problem. Why do they know that? They know that because of people by the name of Colley or Swick or Rocky Camardella or D'Angelo or Lee Elsey. You know, they know that because of people like that. And, you know, Tom Shattuck does a fine show. And so they got to make it look like they're doing something. So basically, they wrote this prop legislation. They had this kid write the article, and basically what they're doing is, hey, they can keep doing it. There's no penalty. You got 180 days to figure it out. And guess what? If you get caught, you're going to do it again, you know, and why not? And, you know, no, there's no, there's no hearings. The legislature has the ability to subpoena. The legislature has the ability to call hearings. I mean, so what this is telling me is King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable, can go ahead and make a contract with a quasi-public agency and somehow get a prop in under that executive provision, and they can just keep doing the same thing that they're doing. And you're supposedly not to know, but if you're reading this newspaper, you know, more junk from Connecticut News Junkie, you're gonna with your morning coffee, you're gonna think, well, maybe these guys are, you know, they're electable now because they don't want another semaphore, they don't want another digital currency group. You bet your bird they want another semaphore and digital currency group. They just haven't figured out how to do it yet once people got wise to it. That's basically the way these characters play. But that's your 34-0 state Senate saying effectively nothing. And it's just, this is amazing. This is government in Connecticut. But meanwhile, I was talking about this as kind of a gear shift this morning. Actually, it was over the weekend. I was talking to someone else about it. Many times shall I say, the conversations get blurred. But I'm just going to stop the share here for a moment. There are, believe me, I understand this now more than ever. There are cycles in our lives. You know, when we're children, we become teenagers, we become young adults, we become married people, young married people. Some of us raise children, some of us marry, some of us single, whatever our lives are. And the American dream for a lot of people, you know, why there is such an assault on home ownership in this state with no advocacy, no effective advocacy from, excuse me, any Republican that I see. They're either silent about it or they're looking at it saying that, you know, we have to modify it. But basically, the rights of the single family homeowner be damned. And I'm seeing that more and more. But that all said, when you have a lot of married couples, it's like, well, they start out in the apartment and they have a baby. It's like, well, maybe we need a bigger house, and they go and maybe they move to a house, which is a house, you know, kind of in a town, which isn't the town they grew up in, but it's a place to start. And then they cobble a little money together and they go to a community that they always wanted to live in, and they make sacrifices and they keep the car around for a few more years. And, you know, maybe they have a cat instead of 2 dogs and things like that. And they raise their children. So when the last child leaves, you know, your daughter gets married, your son moves to Utah or, you know, Omaha or something like that. You know, many times you've got mom and dad in the house and, you know, they're still young, they're still vibrant, they still want to do activities. If you're, you know, How could I put it? It's important to have activities. It's important to, not sit around and be a lummox. I could do an entire show on that. That's really a way to die very quickly through atrophy. But and maybe one day, husband's having coffee and saying, "No, we don't need this big house anymore, hon. Why don't we go and move to an active adult community? You can garden, I can golf, and we could go to the plays and the shows and the things that we couldn't do when the kids were here." And she said, "Hey, great idea, dear. Let's do that." So they go to, an active adult community or more manageable housing. This is a preference for a lot of people, my age, even a little younger, sometimes older. But and that's its own set of parameters, or in many cases, peccadillos. You got to be very careful. You have to pick and choose. You have to decide, is this something that, really fits into everything that you would want to do? I've known of a lot of people my age who have gone from residence to residence to residence, not really finding where they've been, losing money along the way. But I consider that couple. You do a little Rod Serling picture, if you will. We got that senior couple. He's in great shape. She looks great. She's model cute. She's a little gray. She raised her kids, and she's awaiting grandchildren. And here we go. So they moved to let's go back to our share. They moved to an active adult community, and the active adult community looks very nice as they start to peruse it. And they look at it and they say, wow, close to the highway, close to the golf course. There's a garden club, there's a theater club, and we could really indulge our passions for things. After all, we paid our dues. We've been good parents. So let's just say these are, good family people. They've worked hard to keep their kids out of jail, keep them off drugs and all kinds of things like that. And they buy in and they move into a community. In this case, let's just say it's Heritage Village. And Heritage Village is one of many communities. Now, this is not to praise Heritage Village nor to disparage it. If you are interested in Heritage Village, you should go there and you should see what's happening. But what I'm about to share with you is not, quote unquote, a horrible thing happening at Heritage Village, but it is something in policy which our stupid government never considered. Now, let's just say, I don't like drugs. I don't like the smell of marijuana. And I don't. I really don't. I've lived in, apartments where somebody was doing it next door. And believe me, I couldn't wait to get away from it. One of the blessings of having a single family home is I don't have to smell it. I'll do what I need to do and to stay away from it because I don't like it. I didn't like it when I was going to school. I didn't like smelling it in the hallways, and I didn't like walking into establishments or parties and it was there. It just did not agree with me. But anyway, the Heritage Village active adult community on April 20th had the plan for a day-long cannabis forum. And let's just go down here. Now, think of our couple that has all of the real estate money invested in an active adult community. I'm not saying that Heritage Village is where they are, but this is something what they're going to run into and something to consider if you are considerate and you're not, quote unquote, one that is, shall we say, amenable to the use of marijuana. You get three people here. Carl Torella, the owner of a cannabis establishment, Butter Cannabis, and they are showing you the shop that they've opened up under state auspices. Now, the management of Heritage Village, they quote the lady here, Laura Orban, a community engagement manager for the Master Association who helped organize it. We're an active adult community, so we can do that. Okay. Now, I might question there because I'm of the parameter where I would go to that is maybe are they doing themselves a service or disservice? I mean, obviously, if I am one who is amenable to the use of marijuana, and I think this is pretty cool, I'm going to go there. If I'm one that doesn't want that in my life, and I'm concerned about, if I have kids or grandkids showing up and people are outside doing the funny little cigarettes, do I really want that? It's I question here the how could I put it? They always like to toss the term inclusiveness here, but I question the inclusivity of such an approach here because Ms. Orban, you will alienate some people. I mean, you're just going to. Anybody considering this who's not, amenable to pot use because it does go through the doors, it does get in the hallways. There is no sanitary pot use if ever you've been around it, and I'm sure you have. But the 5,000 residents of Heritage Village who already use cannabis or would consider using it, they could go and get. I'm sorry, I jumped that. Forgive me. They can hear from a community health practitioner, a licensed substance abuse counselor, a police sergeant, a retail cannabis business owner, and experts from Yale University. Notice who's not in that group is somebody who lost a family member due to drug abuse. Now, I'm not saying that marijuana is good, marijuana is bad. I have my own opinions of marijuana, but I don't see a 360 here. And as far as which really is my functional thing in showing this to you, when the legislature legalized marijuana and when the Republican Party should have been saying, well, what about people in apartments? What about people in villages like this? What about the public safety aspect? As far as, somebody going and doing this in good faith and they're subject to their building management who wants to open this up. Now, of course, it's fact-based, judgment-free. So they say, then again, I don't see anybody advocating from the opposite side. And of course, you got the Yale guy who's going to tell you, weeding out the benefits and the risks and all that. And and you have the marketers of cannabis products, and they're going to talk about harm reduction and things like this. And they're going to talk about how you can have deliveries and things like that. And this guy who has the marijuana shop is saying it's important for them to know how cannabis is coming to the town, whether they like it or not. And he's not his intention to proselytize anybody in Southbury. No. So if you're not interested in having potential customers, Mr. Terrell, what are you doing there? That kind of seems a little bit disingenuous to me. But go on a little bit. I don't worry about the town, but rather the opportunity to speak and spread the word about cannabis. It's a good opportunity for us all. Okay. Now, let me just say this. I'm going to stop the share. If you want to do marijuana, fine by me. I don't want to smell it. I don't want you driving while impaired. I don't want you running over a child. I don't want you causing a public safety disaster, which the entire state of Connecticut doesn't really seem to care about. But I don't want you causing that near me. I work too hard for what I do and for whom I'm responsible for and whom I need to help and who I want to help. So go ahead and do that. Now, if you're asking here, as far as a legal question, can the shall I say, the condominium board allow or facilitate something like that? And, the answer is they're working under state law, under real estate. So, it's something that you will see going forward. Now, to me, if I'm considering buying anything with any sort of common ownership, I want to see how this place is run because and this real estate's not my area, but basically, I don't want where I'm living to become a drug den, because today's marijuana, what's tomorrow? Basically. And if people could go and do this stuff, I mean, what about my family coming to visit me? And I don't want that. We don't consider that. So basically, with government saying this is great and we can raise revenue, and honestly, if you look at it, they're not raising a whole lot of revenue for what they're doing. And most people I do know people who use the product are still dealing with their street guy and saying, screw you to the state. I mean, you're going to go to the state and say, well, yeah, I'm a marijuana user. It's like, our state can be so brainless sometimes, it's absolutely beyond belief. But still, I'm angry with Republicans, because they should have been yelling and screaming and crying in the streets. This thing can make its way to an elderly community. This thing can make its way to where people could go and endanger other people in a residential setting. And, good stuff is going to happen with that. I mean, basically, it's, how could I put it? You could drive with it, right? It's, you can go ahead and, Lee Elsey says all the time that he's driving and, you could smell it coming from the car. Does that make you feel secure? And basically they thumb their nose at everything. And if you want to have that, if you want to go and live in a community where this is okay and this is great and you see the benefits of it and all that, go ahead and do that. But yet you do yourself, if you are a active adult community or even an elderly community, because some of these people will survive to their elder years, you do yourself a great disservice if people are going to look at you and say, well, I don't want to live in a place like that. I mean, I don't want that through my walls. I don't want my grandchildren in danger of getting run over by people abusing substances. You may impact your marketability and you may impact your resale value, and you may make your place undesirable if you run the thing with a quote unquote, shall I say, one-sided approach to things like that. And if you want to do marijuana, do marijuana. Listen, I don't care anymore. Just stay out of my face, literally. That's how I feel. I don't like it. And I was saying to somebody over the weekend that they'll have to pry my gas-powered lawnmower from my cold, dead hands rather than put me in a place like that. I don't want to go to that. Any inkling that I would have had of even doing something like that has quickly been dashed from my head. This is where it's like people just don't think at all for any reason. And I mean, this goes on all the time in government. Our lieutenant governor, the Honorable Susan Bisowitz, was crying last week on Twitter about, well, female athletes are underpaid. You can make that argument. And, compared to on a fairness scale. But a legitimate business can only pay out what it takes in. And it's a function of supply and demand. Now, I'm sure the Honorable Susan her middle initial, Susan Bisowitz, wants to see some sort of a surtax where we all have to pay to support women's athletics. Wonder if she'll feel that way if, biological men go in to compete. That's another thing. But it's just like, we all have to give, and this is the thing which is so laughable, we all have to give in to these people's ideals of how things should be. And I mean, I hate to tell them, this is America. This is America. And in America, we have a right to make choices. And I mean, you do what you want. Just don't throw your choice in front of me and tell me this is the only way to be. I mean, if marijuana comes to my community, whether I want it or not, I want the freedom to walk away from it. It's kind of a wise comment by that individual that made it. But basically, he is there marketing his product. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. This is the integrity of your government. This is the integrity of policy. This is the lack of thought that is shown by both political parties. It's shameful, and we all suffer for it. It's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. Man, we are cooking today. We'll be right back with the rest of the show right after this. Bats was something. I can't do it like Trump though. I can't do the. There's only one Trump. Oh, sorry. It's some of the behind the scenes here at 30 with Tony. We'll be right back. If I don't die of embarrassment right after this.
Hello, fun seekers. Since we like to mix fun with business, please enjoy another video classic clip, courtesy of the producers of 30 with Tony.
Today's classic clip is the movie trailer for Somebody Up There Likes Me. Somebody Up There Likes Me is a 1956 American drama film directed by Robert Wise and starring Paul Newman and Pier Angeli. The film is based on the life of middleweight boxing legend Rocky Graziano. Here's a brief plot summary. Rocky Graziano endures a difficult childhood, facing abuse from his father. He joins a street gang and becomes involved in criminal activities. After being sent to prison, he remains rebellious toward authority figures. Upon release, he is drafted into the U.S. Army but runs away. Needing money, Rocky discovers his natural talent for boxing and wins 6 consecutive fights. However, the army catches up with him and dishonorably discharges him. Undeterred, Rocky resumes his boxing career, rises to the top, and falls in love with Norma, whom he later marries. Despite setbacks, he ultimately faces a title fight with Tony Zale. The film features a strong supporting cast, including Everett Sloan, Eileen Heckert, Harold J. Stone, Sal Mineo, and Robert Loggia. Steve McQueen also makes a brief unbilled appearance as Fidel 1. And Tony's pal and mentor Michael Dante from Stanford makes a brief uncredited appearance as Shorty the Greek. If you enjoy biographical dramas and boxing stories, this film is worth watching. And now, the trailer.
All right, start your action. Go ahead. Talk it up. Here we
The movie ads usually say, you read the book, now see the picture. Well, not me. I saw them shooting the picture. And then I read the book. Of course, the movie was made some months ago. And like a lot of other Manhattan yokels, I followed the MGM company all over New York. I became more and more excited as I saw the intense and stirring realism with which this dramatic book was brought to life. Somebody Up There Likes Me reveals with wonderful honesty the story of Rocky Graziano, a champion in many ways. I guess he had to fight. But a woman knows how to reach even a tough guy.
Come on, we're late for a wedding. Come on.
How can you ask me to go in a courthouse building?
That happens to be where people get married.
Well, being in courthouses makes me be uncomfortable, definitely.
Rocky, you're giving me a lot of reasons why not. But I still haven't heard the one thing that would convince me.
What's that?
Just tell me you don't love me.
A self-made rebel like Rocky is not an easy character to play. It takes great acting to do it. And great acting is what Paul Newman delivers.
But I'm going to tell you something, soldier. There's no place in this man's army for a wise guy. Do you understand that?
Wait a minute, you bum. I mean, you may be a captain and all that. You don't impress me so hot. You're so tough, come on outside.
Soldier, are you just plain crazy?
Maybe I am crazy with being sick and tired of this creep joint, but at least I ain't yellow.
The best thing that ever happened to Rocky was Norma. Gentle, loving, and so warmly played by Pier Angeli. You can't help admiring this street fighter who lifted himself out of a world of hoodlums and crime and wound up a legitimate guy.
Well, what about them other guys smearing it all over the front page? What a rat I am. What a liar. What a no-good East Side bum I am. Sure, a Graziano, he's a no-good criminal, a coward, a yellow rat. Remember that. Graziano's the scum of the slums. He'll never...
Stop it!
Maybe the real reason I love this picture so much is because the only person that ever hit Rocky and got away with it was a woman.
You know, I've I've been lucky. Somebody up there likes me.
Well, thanks, Kemasabis. Thanks for staying with us on today's show. And I had a talk with myself this past week. You know, I think we all get frustrated, or at least I do, when I don't feel that whatever I may do is good enough or doesn't have enough impact or doesn't carry enough or doesn't change enough things. And finally, one day I was in prayer and God put upon my heart that, you know, you can only do what you can do. Jesus Christ of Nazareth could only do what he can do. And he had scoffers and he had people that hated him, but yet he just continued to do what those people that listened. And this is what I can do is my best. And I'm so pleased to do my best every single day. Now, I would like for people to, continually let me know what you're seeing, suggest things to me. What I'm getting really excited about is people are suggesting to me story topics. I can't see everything. And some amazing things that go on in this state, that basically amazing in capital letters. The state-run media doesn't want you to know about it. They're not going to cover it. The state will not assign people and pay your tax money to cover, their screw-ups, frankly. And, there's a lot out there. But when it comes to just basic virtues, the way things are designed to work, and when a bunch of lunatics and gaga brains say, well, that's not all right, we have to make this equal. Well, idiot, where you been? It's been equal. But nothing troubles me more than good people trusting bad people and ending up in the train wreck of centuries, and the bad people don't want to help them. So that couple we talked about in the previous segment, in the previous example, who's worked really hard, who wants to enjoy the fruits of their labor, could get very badly screwed up in poorly managed elderly development is one example. And it all comes down to political policy. It all comes down to political brainlessness. We have a corrupt government because we have 34 state senators thinking that they're, making the world more ethical, and basically what they've done is nothing. Nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. And yet they want for you to believe it. So it's my job to bring this to you, and it's your job, if you agree with what we're doing, or even if you disagree, to share that with somebody else so hearts and minds can elevate and not be dumbed down by the crap and the nonsense and the garbage that goes on from government. My good pal and fine professional friend George Colley shared a tweet over the weekend showing a McDonald's in New York. And, McDonald's, Ronald McDonald, the nice big displays, the fun place, the Happy Meal, the toys, the kids were glad to be there, the excitement, the playscape. Well, this thing now was basically a high-tech government breadline. You come in, you order from a little kiosk, you get your food, and you either sit at a table or go away. This is just reinforcement of the dehumanization of corporate America and government. And they want to make you think that you're getting, I'm sure they'll sell you these really great commercials of, how much fun you can have if you're eating McDonald's. But basically, that's what it is. It is to dehumanize you. It is to make you personally worthless. You may not realize it, but you're like a rat there, pulling the lever down to get a pellet to chew on. You think life is wonderful. But so things like owning a home and things like moving to a retirement community, if that's your preference, and educating your children and running a business, they don't want any of that. And they don't want cash. They don't want you to use cash, because if you use cash, you have economic freedom, and that troubles the hell out of them. But, they won't account for any of that, nor is there anybody in the political system that I see in many, many levels that will push back at them on it. This is what we're dealing with. And we haven't even started to talk about the abuse of children. It's going on. Our pal Christine was showing us stuff over the weekend as far as drag shows and things like that. Folks, these are children. These are God's angels, and this is what you're doing. I can only hope. I'm not hoping. I know. My Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, said what he would do to people that harm the little ones. And your day's coming. You may think you're this wonderful thing of, you're cool and you're hip, and I'm this horrible person, and, I'm racist, and, I'm accusing you and all this other stuff. But when you talk about kids, you're talking the very fruit of, our labor and our future. And these kids are blessed by God, regardless of their, their parents and their spiritual upbringing. And you're using them for your own grossness and stupidity. And I have no words for you. I mean, other than, cursing a blue streak, which I'm not going to do. But this is the world that we're fighting. This is the life that, is out there pushing back on us and telling us that we are wrong and not advocating for us because it's more convenient to go the other way. And they're all selling out. They are all selling out. It's sickening. I mean, people we thought represented us or represented conservative ideals or just, sanity or just selling out and, taking the juice that the other people are giving them and trying to make it a little more palatable. And, you're just basically you are a phony mollycoddle. This is what you're doing. And I have absolutely no respect for you. But it may not be, or you may not think it to be a good time to tell jokes, but humor is important. So let me just reach over here to the printer. And I came across some good jokes. You have to have a sense of humor. Paul the Apostle said, count it all joy. It's not all joy. Legislature screwing up, people doing dope in your face and abusing kids is not joy. But, he said, was it Paul or... I'm going to show my biblical ignorance. It's in the New Testament. Count it all joy. Whatever it is, I believe it was Paul the Apostle. But correct me if I'm wrong. How about some jokes? It's springtime, and springtime is a time of love and flowers and dating and I love you, I love you, I love you. I came across some really good dating jokes and thought I'd share them with you. What do you call two birds in love? Sweethearts. Are you made of copper and tellurium because you're CUTE? Really don't know what that means. We may not be socks, but I know we'd make a great pair. Oh man, don't go out with this guy telling you this stuff. Are you a florist? Because ever since I met you, my life has been rosy. Oh, brother. What does a ghost call their partner? A girlfriend. Did you hear about the notebook who married the pencil? She finally found Mr. Right. Well, I'll tell you something. Today, reading these stupid jokes, I feel like Mr. Wrong. It's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. Thanks, Kemasabis. Thanks for staying with us. Keep fighting the good fight. And remember, it's not a good fight unless you win. And as Dick Clark would say in American Bandstand, so long. See you next week with a better show.
I'm a happy man. I'm a happy man. Oh, whoa, 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 my baby. You look so good. Yeah, 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 my baby. Just like the new year.